Shocker. Roma,
Roma.
Roma. Hello and welcome back to Just Another Football Podcast. It's the two of us again. It's me and it's Fergal. Hi, Fergal. Hello. Hello. I don't know if I mentioned this. That one time you hosted when Harry
2 podcasts ago.
2 podcasts ago when Harry and I were out. Can I just say, well done? That was a good American accent.
Oh, cheers! It does to all my accents. I think I can nail them or get close to it pretty well. For the first two words, and then it ever so slightly drifts away and gets worse and worse. It's usually because I start to giggle and get a bit too excited and whatever. But yeah, no thanks. I appreciate that one.
Of course,
it was fun.
Not unlike George when he remotely tried to make an Irish accent. That was
Was that Irish? Right. Okay.
He tried. That's the impression I got listening back. Yes, Harry is on vacation, and George has got work because he works on an American.
He's got business to attend to.
Business to attend to. Both of them do, but very different businesses. But yeah, here we are after a very strange weekend in a multitude of ways.
Yeah.
COVID and otherwise related. I mean, the Premier League, we were just before the episode, we were like, what are we going to talk about? There's plenty to talk about. There's plenty to discuss, if not just COVID, or if not only COVID. I may add.
And just before the podcast, just before we started recording, I got my PCR COVID test results back.
Yeah.
I'm negative. I'm going to have a Christmas, everyone.
Let's freaking go.
I'm in a good mood now. I was a wee bit worried, but we're all good.
Lovely. I took the booster on Friday as well, which is a relief. So I have completed the vaccination journey.
For now,
for now, whatever everyone decides on. Well, not everyone, but you know what I mean. Whatever health authorities decide on, we'll do it again. I don't care. So, COVID then, and when it comes to football, Premier League has had many games cancelled. In fact, only 4 went ahead, and despite that,
they're really not thinking about the poor podcasters that need content to talk about.
Exactly.
Nobody really wants to talk about COVID, and we've all had enough of it. But here we are; it's worked its way into football again, and yeah. Like they need to think about us whenever they're cancelling these games. It's just not on. It's not on at all. And yeah, we struggled a bit to find actual football content to talk about. There is plenty. So stay tuned. But the one thing I think is most important to cover is the fact that despite this week just going into just absolute disrepute, and that many games getting cancelled, they are going ahead with the festive schedule, which, first of all, I'm not a fan of anyways because of the load on athletes in general. I think it's very dangerous to play, an average of a game every 2.5 days, especially if you're going to play a game and then take 1 day's rest, 1 day's recovery, and not even train for the next game, and then go into the next game straight away. I think it's bizarre. But it's been there, so let's not discuss this too much. Let's just talk about the fact that it's going ahead. What do you think of that? Like, I suppose if they continue pushing back until the COVID situation is entirely safe, and I don't know what the guidelines for that would be when it's absolutely safe for everyone to play, which now it isn't, because of the number of cases, it would have been very, very difficult to fit those games that were postponed into the schedule. However, it's also pretty mental that they're going ahead. The rule is that if a club has 14 players, it doesn't mention goalkeepers. The guidelines don't mention goalkeepers. They have 14 players. The game goes ahead. So we might see a situation where Diogo Jota stands in goal for Liverpool. Kyle Walker has another go.
I have no idea why that wasn't my first thought.
Or Harry Kane for that matter. Harry Kane let in a
Harry
terrible free kick that time after scoring a hat trick in the Europa League. It was as well.
Yeah, that was a bizarre one. Who else was outfielding? John O'Shea back in the day.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm out
Rory
of
Delap might have done it.
yeah. Rio Ferdinand done it as well, I think.
Rio Ferdinand did definitely. And Luis
And
Enrique.
famously, Phil Jagielka was a goalkeeper, I think, and then transitioned into outfield fairly early on.
Oh,
But I think,
interesting.
for any team that he played for, he was the standing goalkeeper then.
The other way around was Ederson, wasn't he? I think Ederson started as a midfielder and then went into goal.
Doesn't surprise me. I think Torres might have started as a goalkeeper, which is very strange.
Yeah. You're right. You might be right. I seem like to remember something like that.
I feel like I've read that in one of those football kids magazines. In the UK, we have one called Match and like Score, and I feel like that was a fact about Torres in one of them that I've just recalled. So hopefully they've got good fact checkers.
Yeah, hopefully so. I mean, I have hope outfielders stand in goal, but no, I don't want it because like goalkeepers will get COVID. Bloody hell!
You know what? My overall opinion of this is that I think it should be treated like any other illness and any other injury, and you should, if you have to field your under 16s, you have to field your under 16s. Obviously, I think the only cutoff point would be like if you're literally it's literally men against boys, and whatever age that cutoff is, I'll let someone else decide that. But I am of the I kind of think that one, I think COVID's going to be around for a while, and I think that it especially when it's getting if cases are increasing, I think the clubs themselves should be more strict with the players and be like, I don't know if legally they're able to do this, but I'm pretty sure they could enforce it and just be like, look, you just need to stay at home, don't be socialized, don't be going to nightclubs. Foden and Grealish, this is a really big industry that could fall apart if a couple of people get it. There's only 68% of the footballers are fully vaccinated as well.
Yep.
And apparently a lot of the concerns are about cardiac issues, and Eriksen's name keeps being brought up by footballers that are worried about getting vaccinated, even though he hadn't been vaccinated at the point of his cardiac arrest he had, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So but there's all these rumors, all the stuff around the vaccine and stuff like that, and within football clubs, if one of the main players, one of the main leaders is anti-vaccination, I think a lot of them are sort of, for lack of a better term, sort of sheeps and go along with it without maybe doing the research themselves. So
Yeah,
it's but I think it's on the football clubs to sort of keep a tight ship. Guardiola put down with Foden and Grealish and didn't start them in the next game.
Yeah, that was good.
Whether that was because they went out, in terms of they went out and had a good time and should have been in bed nice and early, or they went out and were at risk of getting COVID. I don't know which one annoyed him more. But but yeah, with the COVID thing, I think we should carry on. I think it'd be quite funny if Chelsea, for instance, had to play a bunch of the youth players. I mean, I'd nearly prefer some of the youth players to be playing ahead of some of the players that are starting for Chelsea at the moment.
We'll get to that later.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. There is a cutoff point. But I honestly feel like if so many people in your club get COVID so badly that you cannot field a team of even under 18s or whatever, then I think it should be a forfeited 3-0.
Like Tottenham lost to Rennes 3-0.
Yeah,
that was something that happened over the past week. They're out of the Conference League now, which I'm sure they're glad about, unless they wanted to open a legal case against UEFA because of it. Who knows?
What are they going to get out of that though? Like,
I don't know. I have no idea.
We'll give you. What are they going to get in compensation? The prize.
I do find it odd.
For the next round.
The odd thing is that I think they have a point though, because why do you have the problem was with rescheduling it is that they didn't find room ahead of December 31st, which is when all the league group stage games should be played. But why? You have all of January to find some pocket of time to play that game. The knockout games don't start until February, so what's the point really?
Yeah, no, it's very true.
Yeah, and even if it's like an administrative thing to prepare for the knockouts or something like that, it doesn't seem like that's surely something very minor that you can adapt to have a fair competition, because now we don't know whether or not Rennes would have qualified, but they qualified anyway because of a suspension, because of a forfeited result that wasn't Spurs' fault. I found that bizarre. But to go back to the COVID conversation and what teams should do and being strict and things, that's why I love Jurgen Klopp, right? He resonates with me. His opinions are mine. Because he's like, I'm not signing any players that don't have the vaccine, because an unvaccinated player is going to be an absolute nightmare. They're going to have to ride a different bus. They're going to have to be in a separate dressing room. They're going to have to be away from the players all the time. And yeah, that's true. The thing Guy kind of apprehensive about is the prospect of Premier League games without fans again, or very limited capacities, which would be just a shame. Shame, especially Liverpool win the league. That'll be twice the two times they won the league in the last 32 years, where there's still no fans again.
Yeah, for me, like with the whole COVID thing, we're getting maybe a bit too broad for our podcast, but
yeah.
But for me, the like, if the number of like what do you call it, ICU beds they're called, if too many of them are being taken up, then for me it's like, and it's putting too much of a burden on the health service.
Yeah,
then unfortunately, like big measures have to be made there. And that includes closing down football matches. I think Reading have had their Boxing Day fixture cancelled or postponed.
Yep. I believe their 100th anniversary game as well.
150th.
150th.
Yeah. So it's a real shame, all that. Especially when football is like a breakaway from everything. But at the very least, like it's been shown that they can still televise it with fake crowd noise, and at least that's something.
Yeah. And if football gets cancelled, we still have Football Manager again.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You might get me back streaming Football Manager.
Yeah, we might. I do miss those streams. Go follow Fergal on Twitch, everyone.
He had
a good channel. You're not streaming at the moment. Well, in case he's back, you'll know when he's live.
Yeah. Smash that bell.
Yeah. Ring the bell. Another, I think, COVID-related thing that was pretty big over the weekend. It was pretty recent that the African Cup of Nations is going ahead. It got the green light.
That's great.
Which is great news for African football. Like, I feel like it would have been it would have felt unfair. I don't know if it would have actually been unfair, because I don't know enough. That the African Cup of Nations is the one that doesn't go ahead because of COVID. Like every other confederation had its Nations Cup played.
I'm guessing it just comes down to logistics and sort of infrastructure and testing and that sort of thing, as to and like as the country got the means to, are they being where is it being held?
In Cameroon.
In Cameroon, and are there going to be crowds at the games? Do you know?
I believe the intention is that there would be crowds. There was a, I don't know if this is related in any way, but the Arab Cup in Qatar had capacity crowds too. I don't know if that's related though. Probably isn't.
At least that's good for next year. Shows the
Yeah. Well, who knows what will happen by next year? You know. But European clubs have been threatening to block players from going to the African Cup of Nations. Now that it's on, it's an interesting thing to keep track of. It's on. The clubs don't want to release their players. Victor Osimhen, he had a facial injury, facial fracture. The Napoli striker had a facial injury. He's Nigerian, and he just tweeted today that he will be available for the African Cup of Nations unless Nigeria don't select him, which is obviously you wouldn't predict that Nigeria don't select Osimhen. So he's saying like I'll be available unless Nigeria don't select me. Napoli don't have a say on this. Is the backstory? Maybe I guess one of the interpretations.
As a person that loves international football, although it's gonna hurt Chelsea. We're gonna lose Mendy.
Yeah.
You have to go represent your nation and be proud of it in a big tournament. And you know, I think that the AFCON definitely gets sort of treated like an
intruder.
Yeah, I think it's maybe because of the time of year, so it does make it awkward for the big leagues that control a lot. But still, like it's like it is the equivalent of the European Championship for Africa. It is a massive deal, and you can't take that away from players unless there's some serious national health and safety concerns in Cameroon about COVID. But if they're able to, just like if England were and all the other countries, if they're able, like Hungary had full capacity stadiums and were fairly easy going, and UEFA were like, yeah, we'll go on.
That's all right.
Be racist. We won't say anything. You know. So if there's none of that going on in Cameroon, which is and they're just as well up to the standard as the European Championship, then they absolutely should go ahead.
Yeah.
And to touch on the Mendy Kepa situation, I actually think Kepa might do okay.
You think Kepa might do okay?
He done against Zenit. He was really, really good. Still conceded 2 goals, but that really wasn't his fault whatsoever. He made a couple really good saves.
The last goal for the added time goal was outrageous.
Yeah, and that was just like it was a lot of power. He got a bit of a hand to it, I think, but it was no chance he was saving it, and it wasn't his fault. Someone should have been tracking that guy. And also Chelsea just released a video that it's called Family Portrait, and it has Mason Mount and Kepa. I'm not sure. Maybe the shoot was in the past few days, and that these were the only guys that were available due to COVID reasons. But it seemed odd to me that it was Mason Mount, of course, and then it was Kepa, and then N'Golo Kante, Reece James, and his sister Lauren James.
Yeah,
and it was just and they didn't seem to be really promoting anything. It was just Chelsea were all in stylish gear. It wasn't even necessarily heavily Chelsea merchandise.
Interesting.
All dressed quite nicely. Kepa, I hope you're listening to this. I did not realize how much of a sexy man he is. Honestly, he looks like a bit of an Egypt, a bit of a clown in the nets. You dress him up. Boy, does he scrub up well. You want to see the jawline and the cheekbones. He's looking well. Look. If I'm just trying to give him a wee confidence boost, I'm backing backing Kepa.
All right. Well, I'm glad they back him because he's had a tough time. World record goalkeeper on the bench for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, no, he'll get his chance. I think he'll do all right. We move. We'll talk about Chelsea then and the other Spaniard.
And the other Spaniard, yeah, that's a good segue.
So
you
Chelsea,
are, just to give a little bit of background in case you like driving and can't look the table up. Chelsea are on a bit of a slide. If you look at the table here,
it's a title challenger slide. It's actually not absolutely awful.
Yes, but the gap is widening. Manchester City
Thomas
are 6 points ahead now of Chelsea.
That is an issue.
It is.
And Thomas Tuchel sort of put in a good way of, I think, if I can't remember what result it was after, but he was like, the performances aren't awful, but they are average. And that's going to cost you. However, the Everton game, which was last week, it would have been just after we recorded on the Thursday night, or after our pod came out on the Thursday last week. It was bad. Silva was one of the Thiago Silva was brilliant. He was man of the match, and he kept us in it. And annoyingly, Anthony Gordon, the man who George had slagged off, was causing us problems down the left on the counter attack a couple of times, and then ended up putting in a great ball for Everton's equaliser.
Karma.
Yeah, absolutely. But the main thing I want to talk about this game is bloody Saul Niguez.
The other Spaniard, as he's now well known on the podcast.
Just another shit Spaniard.
Oh, God. Oh, Lord. He's a professional. He's with the Champions League finals.
Let me caveat this. This guy was brilliant. I've seen him before. He was being touted for 100 million. People wanted to purchase him for.
Yeah.
He scored an unbelievable goal against Bayern Munich for Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the worst players to ever wear a Chelsea shirt.
Oh, yeah, I actually haven't got the chance to watch him play loads. Well, he didn't play loads anyway. But talk to me. Why do you say that? Well,
previously, before this Everton game, he was subbed off twice at halftime. So not a great start by all means.
Yeah.
He's just he can't string two passes together at times. So Tuchel, sorry, I'm trying to remember all this. Tuchel had a front three of Pulisic, Ziyech, and Mount. Yep. And then it was a midfield of Alonso, Jorginho, Loftus-Cheek, and James.
Yes.
And so Saul came on along with Ross Barkley, I think it was. They came on at the same time. Let me just double check. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's right. 65th minute. Saul Niguez and Ross Barkley enter the field. Everything were absolutely quaking in their boots at this stage whenever they saw them two. I thought initially Saul's going to go to left wing back, as he has done previously, to replace Alonso. And then Ross Barkley would go into Loftus-Cheek's position. The latter happened. Barkley was in Loftus-Cheek's position. However, Saul was... Pulisic was put to left wing back. Saul was put up front as the false nine. I couldn't even tell. It was like he was one of the false nines or one of the players up beside the striker, but it was predominantly he was the number 9, like a focal point. And I could not understand why this was happening. My only guess is that Saul cannot be trusted in any deeper position at left wing back or in midfield, and that Tuchel was like, for the amount of the games we have to play and the amount of what my sports scientists are saying, Alonso and Loftus-Cheek have to come off now.
Yeah.
And I only have Saul to put on. And I think, that's my thought. He was like, he's useless. We cannot trust him in any other position. I'm gonna put him as far up the pitch as I can and hope that he does something. And he just, like, in fairness, he's being played out of position. But yeah, it's pretty bad. The only thing that'll save him now is if, in my opinion, is if Chelsea do another one of these cool music videos and they make him look really sexy. That for me, that would be
that's
the
a
only
saving grace now.
That's his only saving grace at this stage for me.
It saved one Spaniard. It'll probably save the other one.
But yeah, to be honest, I didn't really see too much of the Wolves game over the weekend. I was busy doing Christmassy stuff.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. But and apparently he was a bit better in that game. But from what I've seen of him, and I'm slagging him off and being really harsh. He's human after all. You have to remind myself that.
Yeah.
And he's had a really big fall from the high heights that he was at, and considered like going to be a lifetime athletic legend. You know, he signed a 7-year deal and all that.
Yeah.
And the guy must have just taken a massive confidence hit, because it looks like he doesn't know how to play football. And I don't know how. It's amazing. It's amazing when this happens, because it's just unfathomable how players can just like lose it so badly. And unfortunately, he's one of them. And I'm glad we have made the mistake of signing him. We're paying him a lot of money, but thank God he's not permanent. And hopefully, we can cancel it.
In January, you mean? Just
send
him back.
I'd send him back. It's not doing anybody any good. And I put faith in some of the youngsters. If we need a left wing back, I put faith in Harvey Vale, who's been talked up as he's more of a left winger, but because the academy play with wing backs, he has played there before and should know it well enough. And I trust the Cobham Academy to do it. Like, we have a couple of left wing backs out on loan in Madison, and there's someone else as well that could potentially be recalled, who's left back. But yeah, it's it's not great at the moment for Chelsea. I think we're going through a tough time with the COVID stuff.
You wanted the game cancelled.
Yeah, we requested for the game to be postponed. And I know there was enough players there to field the team, so it didn't happen.
Yeah,
which is fair enough as long as it's consistent throughout. Then that's fair enough. As I said before, like I'm sort of being better about all this, but if I would prefer that every game just carried on and cut out the kids. And the worst thing was, we were coming up against Wolves, who have no COVID cases this weekend. Now, with the game, I didn't really see much of.
Yeah,
but Wolves have no COVID cases and are 100% vaccinated, and apparently they made it a big thing and went on like a big day trip to the vaccination clinic. And everybody got done and sorted within the team. So, in terms of who you don't want to come up against in the COVID crisis moments, Wolves are right up there, and they played well.
Credit to Wolves as well. That I think they're pretty well known for the little amount of injuries that they, on the whole, suffer. And when injuries happen, how little the layoff was. The exception being Raul Jimenez, of course. That's just a freak incident. But yes, you've won one of the last 4. That was against Leeds in the last minute for a pen. And we have won 4 of the last 5, and then drew against Tottenham. But we're still ahead by 3 points. I think this was a good chance to spring ahead of Chelsea. Like, if we'd won, the perception would have been, oh, City and Liverpool are challenging now for the title, then there's Chelsea, then there's Arsenal. Chelsea would have been in a class of their own.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up drawing, and we probably deserved to lose. It was bizarre how open we were. Obviously, we had those cases we talked about at the start of the episode. One of them was Fabinho. Fabinho was a huge miss. We ended up having to play Tyler Morton. Wait, well, I don't know why it took time to recall his name. Tyler Morton. He's a great talent. I think his best quality is vision. I think he spots passes that maybe Thiago has the ability to spot, but not many other people. Like, there were a few, especially at the start. He had a great start to the game. Where
you rate him higher than Jones?
Do I? He still hasn't caught up with Jones in terms of experience. He's only, I don't know, he's played a lower number of games than I can definitely say I rate him higher than Jones, but I think he has better potential than Jones.
Yeah, fair.
He does need to catch up physically, and that showed in that game. He learned a lot. He learned more from this game than he would have learned in the entire year at the academy. He's just being ran over, and I'm really sorry for him. He was not like particularly quick, and he was being played as the anchor, like that deep lying player in midfield, the Fabinho role, which is just crucial defensively, and we were getting carved open time and time again. That was the weak spot. I think, like, I went into Understat and took a look at the shot map. It's fascinating. Liverpool have a lot more, maybe double the chances, and accumulated 1.5 XG. Tottenham had 2.8 from half the shots, but they missed so many big chances. One of them, Dele Alli had a great game. Dele Alli being right through on goal, places it. Alisson literally gets a fingertip to it and goes wide. That was an outrageous save in himself.
For you this game, didn't he?
He was. It would have been ugly. It would have been ugly. There was 1, 2, 3, 4 chances over 0.4 for Tottenham that weren't converted. 0.4 is a good quality chance.
This is it. Like, it's at this point sort of crossed my mind earlier. Is that like, although it's rated as a 0.4 chance, a 0.4 is like you should actually be scoring.
Yeah,
the stats will, like, because you don't always, literally, as the stats will show, you don't always score those chances.
Yeah,
but they're basically like 50-50, and if you're an informed striker, you put it away, or like do better, or it takes like a great save.
Yeah,
for it not to go in. So, like, and that's what you get for playing on the counter attack, isn't it? Like, that's the roll of the dice with the counter attack system. Is you might get a lot of chances against you. The idea being that, you know, there's going to be plenty of men between them and the goal, and they're going to be shots from distance. When you break, it's going to be a higher quality chance, and it seems like it worked well for Spurs this game.
It did, because of our vacancies in midfield, and because Virgil van Dijk was missing. Virgil van Dijk, I think, is on another level to Konate. Despite how good Konate is, I think Van Dijk just has a special ability for recovery speed and reading the game, predicting the next move. So the Harry Kane goal wouldn't have gone in if Virgil van Dijk was there, because he would have caught up with Harry Kane. He's faster, he is stronger, and he would have predicted the run earlier, or maybe played him offside. Like, that's something else he's capable of doing. Liverpool, on the other hand, there was one chance that was above 0.09, and that was the Robertson goal, which should have been a handball. And speaking of the handball, and the penalty that should have been given at the other end, and the red card, the problem with this game for me is that we don't know the true outcome of the game without the multiple mistakes that the referee makes, because the first one of them being Kane should have been sent off. We're in agreement, right?
Oh, without a doubt. I don't know how the English captain doesn't get sent off there. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
You
know what I find?
I don't know how it's not like that's what annoying me about VAR, and this is what makes me go scrap VAR for every decision apart from the offsides, because that is the only way. That is the only thing that's black and white, and everything else it seems to be a bit of a waste of time with VAR. It's like it's still
the wrong decisions are being taken.
It's still so many wrong decisions, still so much time wasted, still so much talk, still still so opinionated on the decisions. It's not clear. It's still subjective. That's what I was looking for, and it's I don't know if I still don't know if it's worth it. And then the response to this you get is, well, VAR works really well in all the other countries, and I don't even watch the other countries enough to know whether it does or not.
It does better
in the Euros. It worked a lot better. Like
in the World Cup, it did. And the World Cup was the first application of it, and it worked as well as the Euros.
Yeah, that's true.
So it absolutely can work well. I just don't understand why in England there's a problem. There's a problem with VAR in England. I just don't get it.
I hate this like clear and obvious thing.
Oh yeah, it's nonsense.
I almost feel like, why don't we just get like 3 refs in the VAR room, and they each have like 2 options, either right or wrong, and if 2 out of 3 of them say it's wrong, well then it's wrong. And instead of this, like,
it gets
because whenever it goes to them, it's like
that's a good.
It's not the question once it goes to VAR isn't is that the correct decision or the wrong decision in the opinion of the ref that's sitting in the VAR room. It is. Is it in the opinion of the referee? If it is a clear and obvious mistake,
clear and obvious to you isn't clear and obvious to me.
And it's like so the ref in the VAR room could be going, I wouldn't have given that. Is it clear and obvious? And then you get them looking at the replays and going like, well, you know, because Robertson's jumped out of the way, it isn't because he hasn't broke his leg. It isn't a clear and obvious mistake.
This, Fergal.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
Here's the logical gap in this interpretation. It's so funny. I'm struggling not to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
So the VAR said that Harry Kane shouldn't have been sent off because Robertson jumped. So Robertson jumped. Harry Kane caught him high, and Robertson jumped. So Harry Kane caught him even higher than if his foot was planted on the ground.
Yeah.
So that's an even worse tackle than it was just a slide tackle on the floor. If it was just a slide tackle on the floor, then he could have been attempting to get the ball. But because Robertson jumps, Harry Kane gets him even higher.
I know.
And if Robertson had his foot planted on the ground, he wouldn't be, as Mark Kleinenberg put it, he wouldn't be walking in Christmas. He would have been injured long term. I think that's the consensus everyone has reached. So what? I don't get it. I don't get it.
And it's like it's if that sort of, I think to me for me it's like, I think it is just because it's Kane. I don't think that incident is maybe one to worry about in the grand scheme of things. As I think if it was any other player, I think they probably would have been sent off. If Eric Dyer had done it, he's getting sent off.
Yeah. I agree. And the referee, and I think it was Kleinenberg too, admitted that reputation comes into play in decision making of whether or not we give him a card or not.
They're all human. He also said like that he in the Champions League final, he kind of gave a decision, or because he had previously made a wrong decision.
Yeah.
And to even it out and stuff like that, which is that is one of the best refs that was going. Like Clattenburg was the top ref in England. So if that's the standard that the top ref in England is going by.
Bizarre.
And look, maybe he's smart enough to make that work on the pitch, and maybe he got a bit luckier that the games continued to flow pretty well. But if you're not as good a ref as Mark Clattenburg and you still are going through these thought process instead of judging everything on a sort of case by case basis, and taking it as it comes in isolation, then it's such a big issue. Like it's
so bad.
I don't know what the answer for the. I feel like VAR has maybe made it even more complicated for the refs' decision because they know. I don't know if maybe they're like a bit more.
Well, it works in other leagues and other competitions. It's just the problem with. I think it's the problem with English refereeing in general.
Well, I think it's very simplistic just to say it's the English referees and those individual people alone.
Okay.
I think it might be to do with like the way they're being coached, the way that the post match reviews are done.
Oh,
like there's more of a process. There might need to be like a rechange in thought process about mistakes. I was listening to Second Captains. I'm not going to try and claim this as my own point.
Yeah,
they were saying like they made it's actually clear and obvious point that there's a load of penalties that were given last weekend. Everybody was given off by it, and then as a result, this weekend, like it was almost a reaction to that, and go right. Well, if you don't want penalties, we're not going to give it. We're going to let it flow.
Good point.
And yeah, it's I think it's a bigger process issue, and it's and maybe it might mean moving on a few referees on. Maybe they're too ingrained in the wrong process that you just need to move them on. I hope this Australian ref. I haven't really got a chance. I haven't took any notice of him yet, which is probably means he's doing it. Probably means he's doing a decent job if I haven't noticed him, as the old saying goes. So a few more refs. Maybe do bring in a few international refs. I don't see why you wouldn't if the English ref everything else in the Premier League is international. Why not the refs?
A long time ago I had this thought because I grew up in Egypt watching Egyptian Premier League games, and they always for the Cairo derby, and that's one of the back in the day at least. It was a really feisty game every time, and they always had a
on and off the pitch as well with the fans as well.
Oh yeah.
Like it's a notorious derby, that one.
Yeah, it is, and they always had an international, a foreign referee for that, because we know as a nation, as people, that if you're Egyptian, you support one of those two teams, Al Ahly or Zamalek. So they always had an international referee just to be sure that the referee isn't biased on either side. From that point, I was like, why don't referees just work abroad? Like, Italian referees work in La Liga and French referees work in Portugal. And you have this rotation, and then you can have a system of rotations. Like you bring referees from different countries every year. I don't know how practical it would be. Obviously, it would be very, very difficult. But it's as a concept, that's my opinion.
The top leagues would have the funds to do that.
Yeah, the other leagues.
I couldn't speak how badly the refereeing is in other leagues, but in England, that is definitely an option. But I think it's, in my opinion, I think it's a bit of the media's fault in some cases. I think it's maybe I think it's mainly the referees and the processes around the referees and how they're taught to maybe think about decisions. It seems like there might be, because it seems like the processes are incorrect either in their head or the process of VAR just this clear and obvious thing. I quite like the idea of it just being 3 refs, and I do a bit of like add a bit of tension, make a thing out of it, and you go it is the way the way on like Britain's Got Talent or Americans Got Talent, they have that big gold buzzer.
Yeah,
and like someone goes to press it. Oh, am I going to press it? Am I going to press it? You could have Mike Dean like on camera going, oh, which one am I hovering over? Willie Moti, and then it's a wrong decision for me.
Penalty.
Yeah. And then you could have the presenter like go. Well, Mike, it's down to you. The other two, one is voted for, and the other one's voted against. It's down to you, Mike. Is it going to be a penalty or not? And he goes, oh, I can't decide. I like both decisions. I thought they were both great. The performance of the dive was just, mwah. But I also appreciate the tackle so much. So I'm really caught in 2 minds here as to which one to do. But I'm gonna have to push you, Mike. I'm gonna have to push you right after this commercial break. And it could be so special. Maybe it's too much attention on the referees, but hey, it's an idea. I think it'd be better than this current rubbish that's going on.
It would take less time. Yeah. Even after all of that, it would take less time. Then
you could have it, like the way like on Dance with the Stars or Strictly Come Dance in the UK, you have like the Italian dancer. We'll get an Italian ref in, add a bit of spice to it, or like a French one, a bit of va-va-voom.
Yeah, Pierluigi Collina himself. Why not?
Yeah,
it's Premier League.
Why? That's a good point. Surely the Premier League can pay these like top ex-referees to fucking sit down in a VAR room. And why don't we get the best ex-referees to do the VAR?
Clattenburg, bring him back. I can't believe I'm saying this. I actually use
give Peter Walton a go. I want him off the telly for a start. Like so.
But Peter Walton agrees with the referees every time, right? Am I getting this wrong?
He's gone rogue recently. I think I noticed him disagree with him a couple of times.
Okay,
but he is. Maybe Peter Walton was a bad choice. That Peter Walton would be like when Gary Barlow done X Factor after replacing Simon Cowell, just wasn't the same.
I'd imagine Simon's a character.
Louis Walsh would be great though as a referee. You won't get that reference.
I won't. I don't think so. That's one for the listeners. But yeah, and to close this discussion about referees, I guess is I feel like there could be just a wider issue with referee recruitment and how they're treated at the grassroots level, and maybe that's why nobody just wants to become a referee, and then the end result is the very, very worst potential referees are the ones that become referees.
Yeah, I think there's on that just quickly. I think there's a space to try and get ex-professional footballers that have, because like it's a decent wage. It's like some of the top referees would probably be getting paid more than some of the like lower down Premier League players, or not Premier League players, professional footballers.
Yeah.
So I think there's probably a gap with some players that they've played at a decent level. It hasn't worked out for them. Maybe they've ended the game a bit early for maybe late 20s or early 30s. They know the game, get them trained up.
I completely agree.
I think they maybe enjoy being part of the game still. I think there is a gap in I think there's a potential, because not every player will make it as a coach either. It's also really, really hard to become a coach. So if you gave them the opportunity to become a ref, you might have to pay them. The only thing is, I know that if you're not a championship or Premier League ref, don't think the pay is very good. So you might have to increase the pay of the make it worth their while. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with the fact that previous players. The problem with the referees in general, that's a global thing, is that they don't really have an understanding of the game. So there are a lot of decisions where if they understand the game or if they've been in that situation before, what would they do? But yeah, completely agree. But let's move on.
Just a quick mention for the Arsenal game that happened just before we
yeah.
recorded. Okay. Just interesting. I've heard a lot of hype about Pantino. We didn't see this game, but I saw that he scored. So I've heard the hype around this guy. And so it'll be interesting to see what he does. That's all I wanted to say on that.
Outrageous goal by Nketiah, one of the 2 goals they scored. Or he scored a hat-trick, actually. Well done. But yeah, one of the goals he scored was outrageous goal. I saw highlights of that. But one of the goals, you're going to recognize it. Pepe is just not next to the left back, leaves it for that, and then puts it across from Nketiah, and he backheels it. In a very, it's just a good. It was a really good goal to watch. And then tomorrow or today, on Wednesday, that is when the episode comes out. Brentford play Chelsea. Fergal, are you bothered? Do you want to win?
No, I do. I definitely do. But
well, that's a stupid question.
I want to see the kids.
You want to see the academy players play?
I want to see the academy. I love to see. I would like to see Harvey Vale at the left wing back position. See if he is up to it or not. He only has to be better than Saul.
Not a big deal.
So that's the bar. If he proves that he's better than Saul at left wing back, and I'm happy for him to be our second choice left back until Chilwell gets back. Oh, there's rumors about us going in for Digne as well, which are interesting.
Yeah, that would actually be a good one because Digne's fallen out, didn't he? So, and they're
good one.
They were after
left on
back.
Purpose.
Say what?
He said he fell out, didn't he?
No, I didn't. I didn't do it on purpose, but good spot. But yeah, he's fallen out with Benitez for no apparent reason. I can't actually find the reason why. But here we go. That would be a good addition. Even if on loan until the end of the season, that would be a good addition.
The interesting thing, I think Chilwell's ahead of schedule. Is already doing like light training or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So I think it would all depend on how quickly Chilwell's going to come back.
Yeah.
And also probably how good Harvey Vale is. If Harvey Vale, I imagine Harvey Vale would get a chance in this game, but I could be wrong. Tuchel might just stick with. He might really want us to win this game. I might go for it, but I imagine a couple of them will get a chance on it, and Harvey Vale has been the one that's sort of closest to getting a chance. I think he might.
We'll see. With Liverpool Leicester, go on.
Oh yeah. No. Go ahead. Sorry.
With Liverpool Leicester, I would like to see a formation that's kind of similar to the one that started against Preston, where you're starting Origi, you're starting Minamino. Definitely a front three that doesn't include Mane and Salah now that they're going to be out for the AFCON, just to get them gelled. So I would like.
That's true.
I want to see Jota, Minamino, Origi starting that game. A midfield that doesn't include Naby Keita somehow. Want to see Cade Gordon as well. Cade Gordon had a few spells, promising. Would like
what
to see him again.
What position is he?
Forward.
Okay.
I think he can play out wide and up front.
Any relation to Anthony?
Don't believe so.
Okay.
Moving on, and then the other game is Tottenham West Ham, London Derby. The second, no, not the second London Derby, but the second top 6 game for West Ham. They defeated Man City in the process, and now they play Tottenham. Harsh schedule. But now, tabs on Tammy, Fergal.
Tabs on Tammy.
Tabs on Tammy.
Yeah, and I'm not doing it this week, am I, Ali? It's over to you. You watched the maestro, the gladiator, emperor of Roma. Go on, you do one.
Yes, Tammy was brilliant. Roma defeated Atalanta 4-1 away from home, and Tammy scored a brace.
I saw the first one. The first one he's a wee bit lucky with, but it was I saw someone say this is a classic Tammy Abraham goal, and I thought that's harsh. He does like a tap in, but like not like one where like it luckily comes off him. That's not his speciality. He usually scores better goals than that.
Yeah, he does score goals. That's what he did in the fourth goal. To be fair, big Chris Mullen scored a goal. Smaldini, as he's called around those parts. And Nicola Zaniolo scored the second goal. So it was Tammy, Zaniolo, Smalling, Tammy, and in between at some point, Cristante scored an own goal. Atalanta were extremely open at the back. Again, they had one center back on the cover. Every time they went on the offense. So Roma, every time they got the ball, they had 2-on-1 at least situations. It was a bizarre to watch. And against Mourinho as well, who wants to counterattack, who wants you without spaces in defense, or with loads of space in defense. Atalanta shot themselves in the foot massively.
That's just classic Atalanta, though, isn't it? Yeah, like any time I sort of pass them, they're either winning 5-0 or losing 5-0, that sort of thing. Like it's and more often than not, they do win well, and they give all the top teams a good go as well. But,
the funny thing is that they've been on a huge winnings, or not even winning, a huge run without defeats. In the last league defeat they had was in October 3rd, even against Milan, and that was 3-2. And since then, they hadn't lost in the league. They had 2 draws in the process, and every other game in the league they'd won, and then they lose and then they actually drew today to Genoa 0-0. Now they were in a genuine title challenge, which they still are. They're still in touch. They're 4th, 5 points behind Inter. But that was a huge win for Roma. They start to enter the European spots. They're tied on points with Fiorentina. Roma in 6th, Fiorentina 7th, with a 1-goal difference, but they both have a game in hand as we speak. So yeah, the league is fascinating in Italy this year. Fascinating. Roma can a few quick wins and they'll be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, right enough. It is up for grabs.
Yeah, fascinating. FPL, just another fantasy pick. And Harry, I'm glad he isn't here because he would have gone on yet another rant about how his players get zeros, because his player got a 0 this week too.
He managed to stop typing loser in binary code by getting that, by picking Salah. But,
yeah,
it was close. It was close. But
close.
I didn't do
just
too
a
well.
break in the code. That's just a glitch in the code. He's back. He's back. Everything's fine. So Salah got 8 and then Gundogan 0.
I lost my gain on you. Went for Silva and it didn't work out. And you went for Saka and done pretty well.
I went for Saka. I'll tell you what, that was huge because I got 7 points off Saka, and George got 5 off Lacazette. I was fearing for my lead. Now, because I have 7 back-to-back 7s, I've established a bit of a lead again. I'm 12 points ahead of you in second place. So happy days. Very happy with that. So
I'd say that's like a 3-week gap, and it would need to be a considerable swing in those 3 weeks as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty good going.
Yeah, I'm very happy. So your pick this week is a bit of a left field one. Romain Saiz. Talk to me. Why Romain?
Well, as I said they're fully vaccinated.
Yep.
There, and they don't have any COVID issues at the moment. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, if a game's going to be called off, it's less likely to be Wolves. And they're really good defensively. Watford are good, the Watford are bad. They might maybe score a goal. Like they have a couple of good attacking players, Dennis and that. I think that they're still a bit bad for injuries and stuff like that as well. So I thought a clean sheet, and he does have a knack of popping up with a goal. Although because he scored last week, he probably won't score this week. But I thought I'll go for the clean sheet points, kind of play it a bit tactical, and see what happens.
That's a good point. I actually haven't considered, which is foolish. I didn't consider COVID in my pick. But I'm picking a Liverpool player because they're playing against Leeds, who are kind of in the mud at the moment. I was
really tempted to, but I've already picked Salah and Jota, and I wasn't sure about Mane.
I picked Salah, Mane, and Jota already, including Salah twice. So it's gonna be Trent this weekend. I don't think Trent's gonna play tomorrow. Thank you. I don't think he's gonna play tomorrow in the cup. I think Nico will start.
I would have been tempted to go for Trent. Now you said it, but I'll stick with Sainz.
Yes. So Trent for me, he'll have a full week off. Hopefully, he doesn't get any positive results COVID wise. Of course, that's the caveat with every pick.
I'm gonna go do some voodoo now.
Oh, you know what? If you go do the voodoo, because George picked Salah and Harry picked Mane. So if you go do the voodoo, and it does affect all of us, and you could kind of just catch up with me.
If he's got badly hit by COVID, it could wipe all three. Yeah, but I'm not gonna wish COVID on someone. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Just a joke. I'm not gonna do that. Wouldn't be as cruel as that.
Yeah, that's fair.
That karma will come back around on me if I've done that.
Yeah. Okay. So that's our fantasy this week. And just a quick rundown of the points total so far. It's me on 68. It's Fergal on 56. George on 48. And Harry in the mud. So that's the end of the podcast this week. On that note, on Harry, who's living his life in Dubai, when he listens back, he probably forgets the Gundogan thing because he didn't mention it in our group chat. But I suspect if you remember,
I think at this stage Harry picks.
It's given up.
Just throws a dart at the wall of all the Premier League players. Types in our chat who he's picking. Doesn't think about it again. Why would you stress yourself and think about fancy player picks when you're in Dubai, Ali? Why would you do that to yourself?
That's a fair point.
Who's the real winner in all this here? I think it's Harry.
Yeah, he probably is if he's in Dubai. Let's stop it there. Enjoy your time, Harry, if you're listening back. I hope to see you again soon because your interviewing skills are far outweigh mine. But yes, everyone.
Before we go, I'd like to just wish everyone a Merry Christmas and hope
that was exactly what I was gonna say. Thank you.
Okay. And I wish everybody a safe and happy Christmas and hope all is well where you are. And just in general, for anybody that's been listening, we have a lot of good mates that we chat to regularly in the James All called Discord and stuff like that. And just thank all of them for the listens and anybody else that listens regularly as well. It's really appreciated, and we enjoy doing it. It's a great bit of crack each week. Do you want to add to anything to that, Ali?
You just said my thoughts exactly. I do appreciate it. This is one of my favorite parts of the week, not just because I get to talk about football, but we're like George, Fergal, Harry, and I are generally a great
bunch of friends and to have the chance to do this every week it means that we get together every week and we have a lot of fun with it. And if you're listening, we hope you're enjoying it. We hope we're, if not learning something new then every week, then at least learning a different perspective, a good analytical depth about it,
having a
and
laugh
just having a laugh,
takes.
having a fun time as some ridiculous takes, like that time George picked Timo Pukki and getting 8 points. But that time that's back into the day. That time I said, mistakenly so, corrected this right away, that Tottenham have the second best squad in the league last season.
Who's going to win the Ballon d'Or? What was your shouts for that?
Oh yeah, that's I didn't think I mentioned that on the podcast before, but that was just hype for Daryl Dike, my boy of the University of Virginia.
What was the Harrison one?
Jack Harrison was second.
Jack Harrison. But,
that didn't work out well.
I think your serious take, you're kind of joking when you said that one, but your serious take on Harrison was that he would be like one of the best left wingers.
Yeah, I genuinely thought so. That could be a conversation for another time, though.
Yeah, anyway.
But I genuinely thought so. The Leeds first season of the Prem. That was the take that I seriously had. But hopefully this season is just a bit of downturn, and then he'll be back. But
but before we go, one last thought. Thanks for all the other guys that have come on this year.
Yeah, absolutely, Michael.
Spanish football analysis. Have I got that right?
Analytics.
You
got it right
on Twitter. Ferguson and Tom and
Dinkpring.
Hewen
during the Euros.
Hewen.
Reamer.
Yeah. We didn't plan this, so forgive us if we forgot to mention you.
Yeah. If you've been on
maybe
the podcast,
try harder next time.
All right. Merry Christmas, everyone. And sorry if we forgot you there, but see you after Christmas. Hope you have a safe one. And cheers.
Take care, bye.